It always comes to this. More nice. Morning guys, back again to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had showed off, well, I couldn't show off actually the piece that I had done with Rick here. We did this tentacle again, and it's in a stage of peeling now, so it's kind of halfway there. The black is still flaking, but a lot of the color has come off already. So it's more or less up to the same level as this backside tentacle with the claw here has, and my elbow is still dry but holding in there pretty good this time. So hopefully I'm banking on a good result with this. We'll see how it goes. These elbows, they tend to change over time, so as that dry skin layer kind of flakes off, we'll see what we're left with. And then in time, it seems that callus likes to come back over the course of a few months, so it's a bit of a different heal for me than it would be for most people. My elbows are, you know, they've been hit so many times. I feel like I talk about this all the time, but my elbows are a sheer labor at this point. But we got this one pretty good. It's still got, you know, a little bit of that callus, but it's looking mostly uniform with the rest of the sleeve, so no real need to worry about it for now, but I'll get into that later. So obviously I had another session with Terry, session 8, on my back. I was hemming and hawing about whether I would try and do the whole rest of the work in a single session, or if I would break it up into 2. I didn't really feel like I needed a second or another session. I figured with the pace we were making and how much we were getting done, it was like there's no reason why we can't do this all in one go. So we sat down for another 4 hours, and I'll show off how it looks now. So hopefully that did the trick. It's essentially finished. So that's an 8-session color on black back piece from start to finish. That's less sessions than some people's regular back tattoos, and it's actually a little bit more complicated than some back pieces that I've seen take longer too. Obviously, it's not as overly detailed as this sleeve is, and that's where it's been able to be done in 8 sessions, where this is on 58 sessions. It's bad comparison, I know, but it's different subject matter, right? Like, we went big and bold and recognizable imagery, and that's what we ended up with. It's about as colorful as I wanted it to be. There are some people who, when I posted it on my Instagram stories, I had a friend of mine comment, I like this so much already, it's one of my favorite pieces you've done, and it's not even finished yet, because I feel like a lot of people were expecting the whole thing to be colored in once they seen color at all, but I always intended for this to be black and gray mostly with color highlights. So the face is going to stay in the grayscale, and the hand, some of the other parts of it, whereas the color highlights are there to embellish and embolden certain details. And I think that that's actually, if you want my opinion on the matter, and I assume you do as you come to this channel, I think that's the best road to color and white on black back piece, is to do most of the work with white and black together, and the rest of like the highlights and stuff in color, just to create additional elements and separation and all this. I don't think that this is the best method. I don't think that it's I don't think that doing something like this, where there's over 100 different little tones in here that almost no one will even understand or care about, I don't think that's the way. I think this lemon is worth the squeeze if you're me, but pretty well no other time, because it's just too much labor. Same thing with like the chest piece. Like, this thing got a little carried away as well, where it's like And by the way, in saying that, I have no regrets or apprehension in continuing in that direction, personally for me, because I like getting tattooed all the time. But if I'm trying to sell a sleeve to someone, it's going to be this one, not this one, as a guy who's doing this work and learning all of this shit. It's like, this one, you only do this one if you're in it for the long haul and you're committed. You can do something like my back piece or this rose sleeve, more or less on a fairly limited budget and a limited timeline as well. It's fairly affordable and fairly achievable even for a layman. So start to finish, that back piece, if you did something like that on a blackout sleeve, you could probably do that in 5-6 sessions. Realistically, the color and black on black leg sleeve that Terry did, or half leg sleeve, for Alicia here at the shop that I've showed off, I'll put it in here. That one was, I believe, 3 sessions in total so far. I think they've got one more to go, but it's not for a while now. And same thing with my back piece. Like, we're not going to be hitting that again now for quite a while. So I don't think it's completely finished. I always say finished with air quotes because whenever I say anything's finished, no one's going to believe me anyway. That's the first reason. And secondly, it's finished to the extent of where I want it to be from a visual standpoint. It looks correct now. See if I could show. Yeah, this side always has more. So it's up to a level now where I can walk away from this for quite a while. Most of the white and black is all settled in there. The yellow and the color and stuff, it got highlighted. Some of the white in the eyebrows and teeth, and his eyes are redone again. But basically, when you have that many layers into something, some parts of it have been passed 3 times now already, you can kind of take a walk on it and let it be. Same thing happened with my chest. It's some half-wit comment. Leave something alone for a year and see what it looks like. Okay, how about 2 years? More than 2 years. How about all the tentacles on my torso are going on 3 years? My armpits, I always show, are over 2 years. This shit is 2 years. More than 2 years, sorry. Close to 3 years for this red and white. That's, again, these haven't been touched in well over 2 years now. So that whole thing is debunked. That's not a solid argument against what I'm doing. And anyone who still believes that is just not paying any attention. And if you're not going to pay attention, I don't feel like you should get an opinion. When the only person who's actively speaking about and showing this off is telling you what they're doing, is showing you things that have been healed for years that aren't changing. They're exactly as they were. I even had someone ask if this was freshly redone because they thought it looked brighter. It's like, if you have that person sharing the information willingly and you then choose to doubt it, you're not correct, and you don't deserve your opinion on the matter. You're just wrong and choosing ignorance. I've done so much work to try and educate on this topic. So it's infuriating when you see things like that. Oh, Remy's touching everything up. Oh yeah, I'm touching my entire body up every fucking week, of course. Same thing, like, I think there's always some apprehension when I show off my back piece too. I think there's still this weird thing where people are like, what's it gonna look like when it's healed? And is the implication that I could essentially do this whole back piece this detailed in one session? Is that the idea? Because you can't. You can't do any back piece like that, even on negative space, in a single session. Even what Terry and I did with blacking out my back twice in a single session, that's like almost never been done before stuff. And for me to sit for that and for Terry to black out a back in a single session is, you don't hear about that ever. So Lily Lou did a back piece in a session, but there was like 5 or 6 artists working on that, and they still had negative space involved. So this is theoretically not done ever. So you can't do standard, like, say, a black and gray back piece or a full color back piece in a single session. So it would be pretty much impossible to, I think the skin would tap out very, very early on, attempting to do something like what I just showed you guys on my back in a single session. That has to be done in layers and multiple passes. So the assumption that that is all being touched up week to week and I'm not being honest about it is fucking insane. And I have seen tattooers say that. I've seen tattooers tell people not to look at my content. It's all AI or edited or filtered or photoshopped. Pretty well anything you can imagine, but believe the work is real. Any sort of denial has been suggested, and it's getting less and less reasonable to be in that mindset, especially now there are so many other examples to point to as well that aren't happening at this shop. And it's like, oh yeah, what am I editing their stuff too? Anyway, yeah, the session was about 4 hours, and I think the background took about two and a half, and then the highlights and little tweaks, and like Terry changed some parts of the background. I should mention, the first time he did the background here, he used 27 mag, and we used a white that didn't really work very well. So instead, this time we used that same white, sky blue, by Fusion, and we mixed it with white and the lightest points, and so it had a better result. It went in better than that ice blue Fusion over there. As much as I like that light blue color, it doesn't have a whole lot of pigment. It goes in like powdery, kind of bad white, and so even sometimes when I'm talking about that ink, I call it white. I've noticed myself in videos when I refer to it, I'll call it white, not blue. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's just a bad white. It's like using a really diluted white because there's just not a lot of pigment to it. It would be nice if anything you wanted would work, but I'm in a realm of reality and just trying to figure out the best inks for the job. And some of these colors work better than others. The only color that works, every single shade we've tried, has been the red. Red of all kinds works really well. So we haven't put any red into me that hasn't showed up like pretty clearly in its own way, right? Like you can even see it. There's multiple shades of red even in this, just this snapshot of me, and they all work really well. The red velvet, for example, was more of a purpley dark red, whereas the really red, where this has only been done twice, but it still has more of a red. And then over here we have nebula red, and that's more of that candy red. So you can get all different types of red, and they all work really well, whereas it seems like there's only a handful of blues we've tried that I've been really, solid or happy with. So you just got to be willing to experiment, and people so often want me to give them like the one-word answer to this, and it's like, this is not for you if you want a one-word answer. And if you do want a one-word answer, like, keep it simple, okay? Like this sleeve, like I said, would be achievable for most people. It's not, you're not in the extremities of things. I wouldn't recommend that if you're not willing to dedicate quite a bit of time and effort and willing to learn. If you're just wanting to do something simple, just keep it real simple. Like, don't get complicated with your subject matter. This is why roses are such a good answer to this, and this is why I started this sleeve this way, is because I wanted something really basic and kind of elementary to show people, and no matter how many times I change this, roses will always be roses and they'll always be recognizable, no matter what shape or color they're in. Before I move on, I should show off my fingers are starting to peel here, and the parts that are peeling are solid. There's going to be, obviously, the knuckles aren't perfect again, and this will look better once it's peeled. It's not actually that different from the rest. It's just when it's surrounded by that stark black, it's like really, it's really punchy when you see any negative in that. But looks like it's going to be a pretty easy, pretty good heal. And it's healed pretty easily compared to what I thought even when I seen it the first couple days. This one is now finally fully peeled off after, well, there's just maybe a little bit in there, 3 weeks. So my hands take forever to peel. And it's better than it was, but it's not perfect, as I said. Got another session coming up with Rick. Obviously, we're going to be working on the sleeves still. I don't know which part of it. We've got all kinds of things to do still, so we'll see what we get to. And then next week, I'll be working on this sleeve again, and it's going to change a lot again. It's going to change a lot, and it will only be for the better. Like I don't think this time, like when I added color to the roses, I had apprehension from people who liked the white and black version more. And I knew that was going to be the case. But this time I feel like it's just a direct upgrade. It's not really going to be something that people can test or carry on about. Oh, you're ruining it. Oh. Yeah, whatever. You got your own fucking arm. You can ruin that one if you want. This should be more or less functionally just a direct upgrade. I'm going to do probably, I would say maybe between 3 and 5 sessions on this. And that will include redoing what's been done on my neck as well, and maybe some of the shoulder red, just to keep everything, at the same point. And then I'll be moving on to my torso tentacles with Terry finally. So still a lot of big stuff to do this year, and it's been a pretty productive year. I don't think it's been quite as transformative as 2023 was. I think that was a real watershed moment for all this color on black stuff, but still making some pretty good progress with it. And I don't expect 2025 will be anywhere near as eventful even as 2024. I think there's a sort of gradual reduced impact or diminished returns type thing that happens with this work, where it's groundbreaking and then you can't really get too much farther than that. And I think that's the same mindset that has people pushing the envelope with body mods so much all the time, where you end up without a nose or without an ear or something, and it's just kind of like there's only so far you can push in a direction before you get to the limit of it. And that hasn't influenced any of my choices on this. It's just something I'm acutely aware of. Because what's the reality? I start working on my legs and it's just going to be more or less more the same. And that's where I'm not planning on doing any more huge projects on my legs. I think those will all just be one-offs and things that I try with different artists, and maybe some different ideas that I've had for places. Maybe trying with some different color outlines and different color shading over black, and kind of seeing what weird shit I can do with the skin I have left, rather than trying to make any more really groundbreaking pieces that are going to move the needle. I think I've moved the needle as much as I can in my own way. My back piece hasn't gone up on my Instagram. Even as I'm making this video, I haven't posted anything on there that's any closer to now than March. But I think once I start posting my my back to Instagram, it's going to be another one of those sort of you bust through the wall sort of moments. And then after that, I feel like that's the last one of those I've got in me. So, and I don't even fucking dread that. I kind of getting tired of the whole social media trying to trend and get viral and all this shit. My TikTok going down was almost in a weird way a mixed blessing, because now I have so much less traffic. Having a 1.1 million following on TikTok, it was always if you ever check your comments, there's just thousands of hateful comments every day, and you don't really think that you're taking them in. I don't really think they were really eroding me on any level, but they're irritating more like you get a really aggressive fly in your house and it keeps fucking around, getting in your vision and landing on shit near you. It was kind of more like that than it was anything. And so I don't mind having a reduced social media platform. And I feel like the more people you get, the more problems you get. And the people who want to know about this stuff will come find it on my YouTube anyway. The people on my TikTok and my Instagram, they're just fucking transient. Those people don't matter that much to me. And I usually just think if they like what I'm doing on Instagram, they might come follow me on YouTube. And same thing with TikTok. Otherwise, that's why those platforms I don't give as much energy to. Anyway, I'll be talking to you guys again here in a few days. Take care. See you next time.